Hello. Yeah, good afternoon once again. Good. I am come to for my channel, and I today I want to talk just yesterday what we have to talk that the 1% of the improvement of ourselves. Basically, improvement of the 1%. It is not a one day jobs. We need to work day by day and daily. We work on bit by bit so that we can improve with in efficient way and what we want to achieve in your life I that you can achieve it. The communication is always matter, and it is like always the person that the person or like I can see myself. I thought this skill is not matter a lot, but when I saw an industry, I can see is there are two pattern in industry. The who have to good communication with good skills of technicals or their field, and he is not afraid to more taking risk, but who have to like the poor communication. So at that time he felt to change, he felt if he want to change their job, so that he is not able to change because it it, he don't want to take at that time, and he is thinking I could do better, but you could not say he can do better. And as of now, I want to explain such as some story where I want to see I I'm able to uh, speak proper, or just try to I'm trying to fill in the some words or something else. The when I start these things like so at that initial times I thought it is difficult to in camera you could speak it, but as of now I am not sure I am able to speak or not able to speak, but I am trying to speak something which is worth it to me. And like one of the situation I want to explain, since I earlier one of the conversation I told I working on the Linux. I'm trying these days I'm working on Linux and try to understand about Linux. So for this concept I have to install virtual machine VMware. So in the previous time of the learning, I was used to work hypervisor. So hypervisor, so there that was working fine, but unfortunately some of uh, the some of the feature is not enabled on that machine. So i I want to I had to install the virtual machine, oracle machines. So at that time it machine like I'm trying to multiple time to or implementation of that machine and restart, I initialize everything, I've tried to do my possible to best, but I am not able to fix it. I face multiple issue, I resolve multiple some of them, but then I decide to why should I not go with my faculty who are teaching as of now. So I visit at that institute, and I met with my teacher. She is very kind, and I I told her I'm facing to uh, I'm facing some of the issue some of the issue installation of the virtual machines. So then she told me, would you give could you show the what which type of the problem you are facing? So then I opened my laptop and I saw I he she saw, so she suddenly told me, first you I think you are not to provide the storage, so that's why the machine image is there, but machine state is there, but machine is not working. So at that time, she took my laptop and she created in the my D drive. In my D drive, she had created one of the folder. That folder she took as she put the reference of the my ISO image of the virtual machines. And after the installation, I'm able to log in that machines, and I got something there. That machine took around 20 minutes only for this to set up of that. As of when I resolve this issue, so at that time I want to ask some of the query, but unfortunately I'm not able to ask the I'm a, I'm not. I could not say I'm not able to. At that moment, I want to ask something, but uh, I did not able to ask some of the question, and some of the questions the ma'am are tried to understand what I want to say, because the my conversation my communication English as of now, I could not I couldn't say my English is enough or good, but ma'am is cooperate me. So I realized, and that at that time I told ma'am, she asked me, uncle, you are getting everything what we are teaching us, what we are taught you guys. So at that time I told ma'am, what you are taught us I got it, but I have one of the concern. In since in my background I am not good with the technical, but when I want to explain some in front of someone, I couldn't able to explain it, because I could not say I'm not I don't know this that concept. At least I know the concept of the 50 or 60 or 80%, but I couldn't able to speak proper and aloud at that situation. So I have to communication and presentation skills. So at that time, I'm told me, don't think like you have to, you don't, you are facing multiple issues. Just you could say I have one of the skills. One of his skills my weak, so I want to work on that and try to keep work on, and do not worry about result. Just focus on the what you are doing. And I told I told my process, complete process, what I am doing and how I want to improve it. So that time my minister told me, yeah, that's enough and that's fine. You everyone couldn't even, you could not say everything is always correct in every time. Let's discuss one of the topic of the SQL, and I want to try to explain SQL. What is the SQL? I want to give the overview of the SQL. SQL basically query structure language, which is to provide ability to interact with the relational database like MySQL and Postgres and other relational database. Here basically the SQL is provide to from the database. You have to fetch the data. That is the main purpose of the SQL. SQL basically that basics feature of the SQL is create table. DDL DDL means data definition language, which basically in the consider is came to create, modify, alter these of the clause in considered in the DDR data definition language, and then data manipulation, which is used for the data manipulation. It means we want to something update, so at that time we could with go with the data manipulation. TCL, data transaction control. So here basically we go with the safe point, and another is the DDL, data transaction language. So that basically grant and revoke, we have work on that. And apart from that, like SQL, there is a relation, which means we call the schema, and or schema, or you could say it a table. So when we want to fetch the data from that table, so there was is always you want to like certain any specific data. So at that time is multiple clause is there. So it means you, if you try to fetch the data, so there is a way to write the query. So it, for the query, writing of the query, we have to some of the clause like select, from, where, group by, limit, order by. And apart from that, like some of the advanced concept is there: joins, subquery, window window function. These are the concepts is there. And SQL basically is the normalization is there. Basically in SQL there is one of the concept which is called known as the normalization. Basically it is the purpose of to this to reduce the data redundancy. It means they don't, and in the database we always prefer to reduce the redundancy. We do not want to bring the repeated data in any column. But for that, doing this operation, we always maintain data integrity. So at that time when we are doing this operation, we call it to normalization. It means we try to build uh, to build to build that table into two tables or three tables, whichever the number they are, to easily they don't break the relationship of the actual. They do not losing any kind of the data. So at that time we have to try to do that. And uh, this and the whenever we are working with the database, so there is a we try to write there our transaction in the database. So what is the transaction basically set of the instruction which is run at particular times. So transaction is followed by the four property acid, which known as the atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Isolation means the if the one if one transaction is running, so another transaction they could not interfere that transaction. That is known as the isolation. It means one process could not one transaction could not interfere to second transaction. And and consistency means like the data required to consistent after the transaction is complete and before the transaction of the completing. Both are the state is consistent. And durability means when they don't depend the system. It is always the transact if the transaction is happen, so it means happen. They don't think about to system failure or anything else. They always, if the transaction is happen, so they durable, they are fix it. And other of then like atomicity is follow like the if the transaction is happening in between, in between middle, they if they that are if there is fail, so he back to all he roll back to all transactions, he roll back to all. instruction and he initiate again to transaction run. Now we want to find out to, like I'm working of the one of project which is known as the LinkedIn Pro. So at not LinkedIn Pro Connects, I'm inspired by the LinkedIn. I'm working on these projects. So when I working on these projects, so I thought how should the company are how they are earning, these company, big software company are only they are like rely on the source of income they're providing, so subscription or there is anything else. So at that moment I found like they are running to subscriptions and ads and promotion. As of now I did meanwhile I want to find out what is the how they are earning of that. Yeah, that's